Guys, I wanted to show you some tips and tricks that you could use yourself for Google Search Console. If you don't know how to use Google Search Console, I'm sure I'll have a video about it at some point. So the first thing is that we've got a filter up here, and this filter filters everything, right? We've got a filter down here as well. It only filters these search results so you can see search results easier. But if you were to hit export, it's going to take everything that's not in the filters here. But if you have a filter here, it's not going to count it for the export. So where they both come in handy, okay, up here, if you, well, down here, I want you to look at these numbers up here. Down here, let's just say that I don't want to have anybody that was searching for fine restoration. That's the name of the company. Is we'll go to their website, Fine Restoration. Here's their website. But if somebody's searching for them already, that doesn't really count for SEO. So we want to put in a filter. The filter cannot contain the term fine. 112.60.50.2. We put this filter on here. This doesn't change at all. It just changes what we see here. Okay. So go ahead and remove that. There's no filter. However, if we do the filter up here, the same thing, queries not containing the word fine, boom. This drops up a whole bunch. And actually, the total clicks went from 112 to a lot less. So this helps us look at our data better. So now we're looking over the last 28 days at people who weren't searching for them, but who maybe were searching for things that they did. And we see this search result here, water mitigation company. Only 23 impressions. Well, they're showing up at position 10.7 on average for that. Why is that? Well, it's generally their Google Maps listing. Somebody nearby, right, did that search. So I'm not near them. If I type in water mitigation company, what's going to happen is these three show up because they're kind of close to me. And this stuff down here can be from anywhere else in the country. Usually they try to make it kind of close to you as well in these listings. But Google Maps listings really do skew our data because we don't really care how they're showing up in water mitigation company if they're in the maps. We don't have as much control over that. And really, we're focusing on down here this organic search. So what we want to do, so what we've done, and let me just show you water damage restoration, Kansas City. I'll show you again. These guys would all have an impression here. Fine restoration's down here at the bottom of the first page, which is not terrible. But if somebody close by searched in water damage restoration Kansas City, and somebody like was a mile away from them, it would definitely show that they were number one on that maps because they're super duper close. Why is that a problem? Well, again, let's just say that there were well, let's take a look. Water damage restoration Kansas City. Alright, so now we're looking exactly just for this query, and we're looking at the pages. So these are the pages that showed up for that search. I'm wondering why it had some of this text. Maybe that's site links or something like that. That's fine. You can look at a search appearance. It'll tell you if there's data, there's not. But those are the pages that showed up when you did that search. A little bit strange. That doesn't have the UTM one in it. I got to find a better example, and I apologize. So in order to find this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to get rid of queries that involve the word fine. Query just means search term. We're going to go to pages, and this is what we're going to look at in particular, because this is what we have on their Google Business listing. So what does this page look like? Well, if we go to this page, it's just the front page, but it's got our tag by it. In analytics, if you look at search, source and medium, it'll say GMB listing and then organic, and Google and organic. So you can break down between organic search and Google Maps. Now let's look at the queries that we have. And we have, these are some of the ways that they pulled up. So somebody typed in restoration companies in Kansas City. That's one search. Water damage restoration itself, they showed up 27 times at position number 1. That was people kind of close by, I'm sure. Let's find a better example of how it can be a problem. Okay, so water damage repair Blue Springs. Let's just look at this, and we're going to get rid of this page. Oh, it didn't go up at all. That stinks. This one probably. Water damage restoration Missouri. Okay, so here we can see that there are actually 83 impressions for this, and their average position was 12.2. When we look at the pages, these pages here were number 1, position number 1. And so that skews the data. So we had 83 total searches, and it's actually, if you look, there's more impressions, 77. That's also weird that the numbers don't add up. 77 plus 12 is what, 89, 109, 117. And of those 117, we'll just say about 25% were position 1. So that skews this average position quite a bit. So what we want to do is we want to say, hey, you know what, if the page said UTM in it, which is in the link, we don't want to count it. So this number now goes to 89. And that's actually accurate there. And you see that the position has dropped considerably to 27.1. So the search term water damage restoration Missouri, they actually don't rank as highly on. Now, for Missouri, it doesn't matter too much, but let's pretend that it was Kansas City and they showed up on that water damage restoration Kansas City search sometimes with the UTM page. And, you know, it says that their average position is 4.8 or something. And let's take this back over 6 months. And that might give us more data. All right, so water damage restoration Kansas City, and we can look here at these pages. And oh, I wish that it had that UTM source. It doesn't. Okay, but this one does. And it's only 1 impression and 13. Makes the average 13.2. It doesn't really change things. But let's just say that it was a bunch higher, right? Let's just pretend that like 50% of their searches were showing up in Google Maps. That's going to really skew the total data and show that the average position is different than it was, and we can't really control what's going on in the Google Maps. Does it make it better or worse for the customer? Not necessarily. But the customer is always very concerned with showing up in maps. They say, you know, we want to show up in maps, we want to show up in maps, we want to show up in maps. Well, let's come back here again. Queries not containing, fine. And what we're allowed to do here is we're allowed to see, hey, of these total clicks, only 11 of them came from your Google Maps listing. 71 clicks and 11 of them, so 60 came from your organic search. And so that's a powerful statement, because as customers believe that the map listing might be the only thing that matters, what we can tell them is, well, you know what, from even an impression standpoint, we showed up a lot more times, and these are the only search queries that were coming in that you were showing up for. It's a lot harder to get ranked in those. Get rid of this page again. But it allows us, yeah, just to filter that out. It's not taking away from them. It's just showing what we're doing completely from an organic standpoint for search terms that matter to them. And again, I wish I could show you like a better example of something that's more pertinent. Maybe restoration companies here, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, this one, of these 105 impressions, and of course there's more than 105 impressions, as you can see, but this one increases their ranking. If there's 200 impressions by 1%, it's got them at number 1. So, if we just again filtered that out, this number is going to change some. Maybe become even more accurate. There we go, 312 impressions. Now it's showing definitely more accurate. So you want to filter out UTM sometimes when you're doing your search to see, or you're doing your research to see how much better it is. Now, it doesn't work if you haven't gone into Google My Business and changed out UTM on their site or on their link. It needs to point them to that. So, you know, so over here, if we look on the website, you see that question mark UTM source equals GMB listing UTM underscore medium organic. So you do have to go into Google Business and change that so that you can, see where people are actually finding them and filter that out. But I think that it can help a bit. Let me know if you have questions, if you have ideas, if you can tell me why the data is so obscured and weird sometimes. I'd be interested in knowing. So yeah, let me know.